tonight. A father is found guilty of abducting his daughter, a move he says he made to protect her from being vaccinated. Also, with new information, police turn their focus to a portion of Saskatoon's landfill in the search for a missing woman. Plus, the International Olympic Committee has developed guidelines on how to use artificial intelligence ahead of the Paris Olympics.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, April 19th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. A Caryvale man accused of abducting his daughter has been found guilty. Over a 2-week trial, Regina Court of King's Bench heard Michael Gordon Jackson failed to return his 7-year-old daughter to the care of her mother after a long weekend visit in November 2021. Mom has primary custody, but didn't see her daughter again until Jackson was arrested in Vernon, BC in February of 2022. Jackson represented himself and told the jury his only intention was to prevent his daughter from getting vaccinated against COVID-19. But her mom had medical decision-making power, and the Crown argued Jackson's goal of keeping his daughter unvaccinated meant he purposely kept her from her mom. The jury started deliberations around noon today and reached a verdict within 3 hours.
We see accountability and ultimately what I believe is a correct outcome, because in the courts we seek a correct outcome. And I believe in a correct outcome, and I believe this was a correct outcome.
Leaving court, Jackson did not comment on the verdict. He was released without conditions. His sentencing date is still to be determined. Saskatoon police say an investigation into a missing woman has led them to the city's landfill. Starting May 1st, an extensive search is planned for evidence in the disappearance of Mackenzie Lee Trottier. Then, 22 years old, she was last seen December 21st of 2020. Paul Trottier has spent the last 40 months and 2 weeks searching for his oldest daughter.
We miss her, and we've been waiting 1,215 days to hear her voice again. Our support network has been instrumental. Our family, our friends, the First Nations communities, and the families of the missing and those that are left behind.
Through their investigation, police say a number of devices were seized. Information from those devices is what is pointing police to a specific area of the landfill. The search will focus on a specific area that's about 930 meters square and 1 meter deep.
We are hoping to conclude this or to close this investigative lead. Ideally, on one hand, we would like to find nothing, and then we'll continue looking. On the other hand, we may find her, and then we'll proceed down the next course of the investigation.
33 days have been set aside for the search. Calgary Police, RCMP, Saskatoon Police Dogs, and a forensic anthropologist will assist. Her family has been actively searching since 2020, trying to keep Trottier's name in the public, including an interprovincial poster campaign. The trial of a Saskatoon woman charged with impaired driving causing the death of a 9-year-old girl continued today. Lawyers made their arguments on what could be a pivotal decision in this case. Dane Patterson explains.
Taylor Kennedy was behind the wheel of this truck that hit and killed Bailey Maurice in Saskatoon in September of 2021. She told police after the accident at 33rd Street West that she'd taken drugs in the last 24 hours. Now, a provincial court judge will decide if that confession will be a part of her trial. That question is among the issues of a voir dire, or a trial within a trial, to determine if it can be used as evidence. That day, Kennedy had told police she'd recently microdosed psilocybin mushrooms and used cannabis. On Wednesday, she took the stand and confirmed that what she told police was true.
One of the issues the judge will need to wrestle with here is about whether the judge can say that Taylor Kennedy subjectively believed she had to report things to the police. And in other cases, other judges have cited the fact that people lied to the police.
Her trial resumed Wednesday after a 2.5-month adjournment. This aspect of the voir dire hinges on whether she was compelled by the police to volunteer that confession. The Crown argues she confessed because she felt a moral obligation, and that officers at the scene never asked her questions to compel her to reveal that. But the defense says she felt legally required to tell them, and that police did lead her to confess. It was more than an hour after the crash when Kennedy did an oral swab for THC and tested positive. Court heard how Kennedy had stayed at the crash and asked officers if the child was okay. When and why Kennedy told police about her drug use is up for debate between counselors. Court will resume on Wednesday, but it's unclear when the judge will deliver their decision on this aspect of the voir dire. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Saskatoon Public Library is taking action after an alleged assault on a staff member and a security guard earlier this week. Several branches will have their hours changed. Police say 2 teen girls assaulted an employee Monday at Carlisle King Library. The girls, aged 14 and 16, were charged with assault, and police say they believe the girls were intoxicated at the time. In a statement, the SPL says it has witnessed a reduction in community services for Saskatoon's most vulnerable.
We can be that welcoming place. We cease to be welcoming to everybody in the community when we have our employees trying to help people, but dealing with things like addictions, with administering naloxone, trying to find places for people to sleep. We can't be healthcare, we can't be a shelter, but we can be a public library.
Cote says she doesn't have the solution, but she says she believes the complex issues libraries are facing are fixable. She says it will take all levels of government and community to achieve that. As for the hour changes, the Central, Ahenakew, Mayfair, and Carlisle King branches are all affected, now open 10 to 6 Monday to Saturday, and Sunday hours will stay the same. Earlier this week, the government and the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation announced that teachers will be voting on a proposed contract. The language they used to describe how they got there, a bit different. But where does this leave us? Leader Post columnist Murray Mandrake has some thoughts.
2 key points went to my labor dictionary of terms, and tentative deal and final offer are not the same words.
Thank you.
They're something totally different, and that's all the difference in the world in my mind. The other all the difference in the world thing is there is no recommendation from the bargaining unit, from the leadership, that they ratify this deal, that this is as good as it gets. In essence, what the union is saying is we're taking this to the membership because you want us to take it to the membership, and we'll decide from there. Now, it still might get voted through. Who knows? Because teachers are like everybody else in this province, a little tired of this. They want to get back to normalcy. They want their kids to enjoy graduation and everything else. And maybe they don't really see an end goal or an end product to these months and months of negotiation. To this day, and Anna and I were just talking about how we still don't really know what classroom size and complexity means, because it means different things to every classroom in the province. So it's obviously difficult to define. That would have been a better argument for the government, that we can't really define it in the contract, and that maybe that we need another mechanism in order to do that, and we can't be bound to that because we don't know what it means. But that hasn't been the argument. The argument we've heard from Jeremy Cockrell's a lot of silly stuff, and we heard more silly stuff in terms of him basically saying that this is a tentative deal. Not by a long shot. It might not be. Now, I guess we'll see in 3 weeks in terms of whether the teachers think they can get anything more out of this, even whether they think they get more money of it, because the 8% that they're basically getting over 3 years is significantly less than the initial ask that added up to the 23% with the COLA, cost of living allowance riser, that was included. So I guess we'll see pretty soon, but I think this one's far from over.
You can watch the rest of the Morning Edition's political panel on our YouTube channel. The province is highlighting its $13 million funding commitment to the Western College of Veterinary Medicine. USask is getting $667,000 increased over last year, and while it will support education, it will also subsidize 25 training seats for Saskatchewan students. 5 of those seats will be designated for students studying in rural areas. There will also be up to $20,000 in student loan forgiveness for vets who choose to set up practice in rural Saskatchewan. The federal budget released earlier this week includes money for Indigenous language and culture programs. And while it's welcome, one professor says it won't make much difference unless it's long-term. Jason Warwick reports.
It's nice to meet you.
University of Victoria Indigenous Languages professor Belinda Daniels is back in Saskatchewan this week. She and others launched a mentorship program in her home, the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation. Speakers of Cree or Nahiwak were paired with other adults in the community who want to reclaim the language of their ancestors. It's one of many cultural revival programs underway at Sturgeon Lake. Daniels says that things are slowly changing.
I feel like elevated. I feel inspired. I feel that all this language, all the language work that's happening right across the country.
It's funded in part through a $500,000 federal government grant. And this year's federal budget includes more than $290 million for Indigenous cultural and language revival programs. The government says it will go to programs that are led by First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities. Daniels says money helps, but she says it needs to be sustained over time, not just for 1 year.
Of course, money does help. And so I'm grateful about that. However, I just think that with the Indigenous Languages Act, the federal's promised sustainable funding. And so my question is, why is the number always changing? Why is it always moving?
Daniels says it's an exciting time for Indigenous language and cultural revival around the country. She plans to come back again to Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation this summer for the Cree Camp, now celebrating its 20th year. Jason Warwick, CBC News, Saskatoon.
A little more surprise snow on the ground in Regina this morning. It wasn't in the forecast, but you know the farmers are happy about it, and it will melt away before you know it. So what is in the forecast for the weekend? Ethan will have your forecast after the break. Stay with us. A 35-year-old Meadow Lake man with cancer wants to be a role model for his two daughters. Robert Kirschman is afflicted with a rare form of cancer known as gastrointestinal stromal tumor. He plans to compete in a half Ironman triathlon in Florida in December and raise money while doing it.
I'm training for what's called a 70.3 Ironman, which is a half Ironman. And I'm going to be doing it in Florida in December. And I'm doing it to raise awareness for a nonprofit group called the Life Graft Group, which is a group that works with people who have the type of cancer that I have, which is called GIST. It is a type of sarcoma, so it's a soft tissue cancer. Mine developed in my small bowel, and then slowly made its way really into my intestines. That tumor was removed last February, I want to say. But unfortunately has since spread. It's now, I have 13 spots on my liver, a couple on my peritoneum, and then one spot on my mesentery, which was caught last November. I have done triathlons before. The half I've never done. The longest distance I've done is actually the Frank Dunn, which is here in Saskatchewan. Even before I got the diagnosis that it had spread, I was hoping to do it. I was training for it. Some days you wake up and you feel pretty good, and some days you wake up and the weight of the situation hangs over you a little bit. But for the most part, I'm doing fairly well. I think a large part of that is having the goal, having the the motivation that this fundraiser is providing me. When I first got the news back in November, I went through, and understandably, trying to give myself some way, but a period where I was pretty down, like the weight of reality, knowing that most likely, your goals and dreams for the far future probably not going to come to fruition, right? Just kind of where I am. So that was tough. But like anything else in life, once you kind of have a little bit of time to deal with it, you just kind of learn to accept it and you move on. And, I really just have to make the reality of it, or the best of it, sorry. It is what it is. And, I can't let the situation really destroy what time I have left. So just kind of keep moving forward and living your life.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. Customer Appreciation Month is on now.
Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. And I have on occasion been accused of not listening. I will admit I stand corrected. It was not entirely surprise snow. I will let you correct the record.
Maybe a little more than we both thought that
Yes.
was going to fall here in Regina, at least. But yeah, the snow, definitely no surprise for people further north in Saskatoon in the north of the province, because yeah, we did have a lot on the ground. In fact, we'll take you back about 36 hours before this system really got going. This is the snow depth in the province. We'll put this in motion to about now, and you can see how much snowpack we added in the province, even a little bit in southern Saskatchewan. But there's some pockets there of 12 to 18 centimeters now, snowpack-wise. We'll put this ahead 36 hours, though, and you can see that all quickly disappears over the next couple of days, leaving us very dry once again in south and central with just trace amounts of snow on the ground in the north. And part of the reason why we're going to be seeing that is this: sunshine, clear skies all throughout much of the province now, starting to clear south of the Trans-Canada corridor as well. Still a bit breezy from that system, though, especially in Regina and southeastern sections. We've seen gusts to 60 today. And starting, though, to die off as we get a little closer to the Alberta border. That is because we have that high pressure which is clearing us out and calming the winds down. Overnight tonight, though, it's going to make things pretty chilly. Lows -10 to -15 in south and central. A nice sunny day and warmer, though, tomorrow for many of us in the province. And then some increasing cloudiness Sunday, especially in western sections, as we start to see another low pressure system start to move in. And this one looks to be more rain than snow. Maybe some pockets of snow here and there, but mostly rain. Some models showing upwards of maybe 10 millimeters of it. This model a little more conservative, 2 to 4 through west central and southwestern sections. Don't think we're going to get much snow. This is really the only model that's showing us getting any snow, and it's maybe a centimeter or two, and it'll likely be wet snow just kind of melting on the ground on contact after our warm weekend. Winds still a little bit breezy at times in Regina and southeastern Saskatchewan tomorrow, especially into those morning hours, and then things picking up a little bit along the south of the province Sunday as that next system starts to move in, and that will likely start to pick up those wind gusts as we head into Monday. So for the weekend, in the meantime, though, going to be gorgeous. Tomorrow, sunshine, highs near 10 in Regina. Could get over 15 by Sunday, back into double-digit territory. That's about normal for this time of year. Still breezy, especially into the afternoon as that system moves in Monday. We'll call it rain for now. Maybe a millimeter or two for us in Regina, and again, windy at times. And then after that, things clear out. Maybe a 20-degree temperature on Wednesday before things get closer to normal for the rest of the week. Saskatoon, we'll call it around 6 degrees tomorrow. The snow may be holding your temperatures back a little bit, but warming up still for Sunday. You might get clipped by that system Monday before that warm up into next week. So by this time next week, Sam, we won't even have known that system hit us this past week.
What's that?
Yeah, what snow? I can't remember that word.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. We have more news after the break. The International Olympic Committee is plugging into the latest technology for Paris 2024, and that's AI. One of the biggest ways viewers will see artificial intelligence used at the Games this summer is through judging. Sam Sampson has more on the implications.
Imagine an instant replay of an Olympic dive looking like this. In-the-moment metrics of distance, degree, rotation. That's what's coming for Paris 2024. The International Olympic Committee rolled out an artificial intelligence plan for the Games, including judging tools.
AI will, of course, help to provide additional information to judges to score in a more informed way. Now, this all has to be done in a way to protect the integrity of the athletes' results.
Crucial. So important for him to nail this one.
Some athletes believe AI could eliminate judging errors or biases, like Kyle Schufelt. The Canadian won gold in 2004 on the floor and almost won bronze in the vault. But in a controversial decision, a judge gave an opponent who fell a higher score.
If AI would have been used in 2004, in the vault competition, I think I would have won a bronze medal.
Schufelt says AI will add fairness, but there still has to be some heart.
I would be scared if at a competition a bunch of like R2D2s beep, 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 come rolling into the competition and those are your judges. I wouldn't trust that. But when you have a combination of humans and the robotics and the technology, I think that that is like a really nice balance.
Ahead of the upcoming Youth Olympics, the IOC used AI to find new talent, future Olympians. It's a seed of encouragement possibly needed in modern times.
With social media now and the way kids operate, you know, if they don't have some sort of instant knowledge, they move on really quickly. If AI helps them to acknowledge that their talent does exist, I think it's hugely beneficial.
While the IOC highlighted the potential benefits of AI, they were clear.
He's got the gold medal!
Artificial intelligence isn't meant to replace athletes.
Gold for Canada!
The humanity of the games will remain untouched.
And she can't see it, now she can!
Sam Sampson, CBC News, Regina.
Well, now that we're all excited about the Olympics, what does the weekend have in store?
Yeah, well, we have some pretty nice weather on the way. I think in Regina tonight, it'll be a little chilly to start, feeling like minus 12, maybe even minus 15 at times overnight. But by tomorrow morning, quickly warming up to minus 3 under sunny skies. And those are going to stick around into the afternoon, albeit a little bit breezy at times, maybe gusts to 40 in Regina, but heading for a daytime high around 9. For Saskatoon, same thing, maybe even feeling below minus 15 at night with a little bit of wind. And into tomorrow, minus 6 to start the day with a wind chill around minus 10, but also warming up to those plus temperatures, sunny skies, a nice weekend ahead. So again, in case you missed that, Sam McCaig, a little cold in the morning, so may want to pack a few layers before it warms up.
You know my parents are going to text about this now.
I sure do. I'm waiting right now.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you this week, a Saskatchewan arts nonprofit has been recognized for its hard work. Community arts mentorship programming, known as CAMP, has been awarded a grant of $175,000 a year for 4 years. CAMP works with underserved and remote communities in northern Saskatchewan, and the artists who run CAMP spend time in the communities over years, rather than just parachuting in and out for a weekend. They partner with community members and schools to develop music, arts, and mentorship programs, and this ensures the programs will keep running long term. A CAMP co-founder, Holly Uzichpi, says the grant will allow them to keep focused on using art to create healthy, resilient communities.
Our organization, we get to try to break the stereotypes of arts just being an activity. We can encourage more people to turn to the arts for expression, sharing story, and healing. So that funding that we received, it's just like a huge, I don't know, like we can do it finally. You know, like some of the things that we're able to take care of because of the money. We're what are we going to do? How can we do this? You know, they were a moment of like dreams down the road, but because it happened so fast, like all of a sudden our dreams are here really fast.
The money comes from the Hudson's Bay Foundation and the Gord Downey and Channy Wenjack Foundation, or fund rather. It's meant to provide support for Indigenous, cultural, artistic, and education activities right across Canada. And that is it for us this week. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask. You can subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel or download the CBC News app. Thanks for watching and listening. Have a great weekend.